Movies, television, and books since the beginning of the 20th century have turned what was previously known as multiple personality disorder into a fictional story for entertainment purposes. In particular, the recent release of Split has created an image in society demonizing and making dissociative identity disorder, or DID, seem villainous and violent, when in actuality, this is an inaccurate Hollywood portrayal of a real disorder that affects 200,000 people in the United States every year. Today on our show, we will be pleased to hear an interview with a person with first-hand experience with this disorder, followed by an expert on the subject of dissociative identity disorder. To start, I would like to turn the time over to our reporter.
Today, we have Jane Doe here with us, who has experienced DID firsthand. She's here to break down the societal stigma of the disorder and to help educate us a little bit more on this disorder. Welcome, Jane, and thank you for coming today.
Hey, I'm excited to be here today.
So, Jane, looking back on your life, what do you think really caused the disorder to manifest?
Well, this is hard to describe. I was actually sexually abused from the age of 3 until I was 11. I believe this caused my identity to split into 6 different people. It was hard because I spent most of my life thinking I was crazy and wanted to die.
Yeah, that must have been a pretty devastating experience for you, and thank you for being so willing to be open about it.
Of course, I just want to educate people on how real this is, and I'm willing to answer any questions you have.
So when did this disorder really manifest for you?
Well, it was hard for me to accept it, but once I started therapy, that is when I realized I was going through it. Most people didn't believe I had multiple personalities, and sometimes I don't believe it myself.
So can you give us any insights into the details of your disorder?
My other personalities are all female, except for one whose name is Greg. We call ourselves the Camp and have learned how to exist together peacefully.
So has anything been particularly helpful for you in managing your disorder?
Therapy. Therapy has been a lifesaver, teaching us new skills on how to function and schedule our time. I can't speak to 2 of the others, but they speak in therapy and to the others in the camp. Now I understand, and most of the time I feel even blessed. There are times when sharing a body with 6 other people is almost painful, and at those times I feel lucky to have such a great therapist.
Yeah, so before we end, is there anything that you want to let the audience know?
I think it's important for people to know that this is a disorder that does not just go away. Although I've been going to counseling, I still have bad days. But therapy has helped me to be able to manage these switches. It has been a constant struggle, but I see myself progressing over time.
Thank you, Jane, for sharing your personal story. It will undoubtedly clear the air on the reality of this disorder.
We would now like to turn the time over to an expert in the field, Christina Turk. Christina has been studying DID for more than 20 years now with her PhD from Columbia University in New York.
Hello, Christina. How are you today?
Great, thank you for having me on the show today.
So with the advent of movies such as Split, why do you think people are so fascinated with DID?
Well, this disorder is not very common. There are so many things people don't know about it, and people are interested in the unknown. Hollywood does a great job making everything look extreme and overly zealous. One cannot help but be intrigued. Sadly, this is not what is actually occurring. This is where misconceptions begin to appear. The audience now thinks that people with this disorder have these superpowers and can defy bodily structure.
So what do you think are the causes of this disorder?
The causes of DID stem from abuse, whether it's physical, emotional, or sexual. In the case of Jane, she endured sexual abuse that led to trauma, which triggered her disorder. Abuse and trauma weighs heavily on a person, and the only way some people can cope with it is through creating a different person within themselves so they don't have to face the abuse.
So how long does this disorder manifest for people?
This isn't something that will just magically disappear one day. That's why the biggest goal in treatment for people with DID is to try to help fuse all those personalities into one functional person. DID is definitely a disorder that won't usually get better without therapy. Sometimes we can use medications to help the therapeutic process, but usually we use cognitive, behavioral, and psychotherapy.
How do therapists help the clients reach the goals that you just outlined?
Well, in 2015, there was a study done where clients had been interviewed on the best ways their therapists have helped them. It seems that the most effective techniques actually include centered therapy, client-centered therapy, learning new skills like how to cope and how to strengthen relationships, and just having therapists who are empathetic, genuine, offer stability, and have motivation to learn more about the disorder.
Well, thank you, Christina, for your time and informing not just me, but everyone listening today.
Since there has been an increase in curiosity regarding DID due to the entertainment world, it is important that we do our own research to make sure we receive correct information. As we do this, we can become more empathetic towards those who are suffering from DID. Studies done on individuals who suffer from DID allows us to better understand what is actually happening within these people. In order to do so, we need to find the source of the problem. Like any disorder, there are those who argue about whether this is really a disorder or if it is even possible to have multiple personalities within one person. Overall, we need to acknowledge both sides, and then through the data collected, we can develop our own judgments.